Namaste. Welcome, everyone. We'll get started shortly with today's Friday webinar on the Yaksha Prashna and understanding Chandas, poetic Sanskrit. We're going to get into all of that with Dr. Suryanarayana Nanda just in a few minutes. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from. Mohan Chalani from Orlando, glad that you will be joining us. Prabhakanaji from Toronto, happy to have you with us. I'm Ankur Patel, the Director of Outreach, joining from Los Angeles. I'm back in the United States after spending some time in India. I'm sure a lot of you have traveled as well. If you want to let us know where we are, where you've been. Kumuji from the Boston area, happy Holi. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Ryan from LA. Yes, glad to have you on, Ryan. Thank you for joining. Vaibhavji from Rancho Cordova. Awesome. Thank you for joining. We only got 15 or so people with us so far. If you have somebody you can invite, please do. Give folks about another 5-7 minutes before we get started. Dr. Nanda has joined us. Do you want to turn on your camera, do an audio check, or maybe we can... Yeah, nice. Camera's working. You want to tell the folks where you're zooming in from? Do an unmute.
Namaste. Namaste, Ankurji. How are you doing?
Great, great. Ram Gupta ji from Boston, glad to have you on. Jacob, go ahead with your question, no problem. And Dr. Nanda, where are you joining from?
I'm from Houston.
Houston, nice.
Yeah, Houston, Texas, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I've got the poll up. Let us know if you've attended a webinar before, if this is your first time, if you're an HOA student, if you're in one of the programs. Today's webinar is about Sanskrit. The two courses Dr. Nanda teaches are in Sanskrit, and even though the work is in Sanskrit, the webinar is going to be English medium, and Dr. Nanda is probably going to go back and forth a little bit and explain what we are getting into. Yes, Ramji, glad to have you on from Boston, Ram Gupta ji. How many professors are in a parampara? Well, that's very interesting question. Each parampara, each lineage has its own unique history, and some have just the one teacher that's extant going on, and there are many others that have dozens or hundreds, or depending on how they operate. So Jacob, maybe we can get into that in some more detail later. I'm going to keep the music going. Please let us know where you're zooming in from in the chat. If you have any trips that you've gone on and you want to make a shout out to. Dr. Nanda, do you want to say anything? We'll get started in about 4 minutes with the webinar if you want to just let the early folks say, if you want to give them a message. Yeah, thanks for joining. And we'll get started in 3-4 minutes at the top of our hour. Please do share, invite other people who might be interested. Right. Okay. Namaste. Welcome, everyone. We are already recording today's webinar, where we're going to explore and unravel the Chandas and Yaksha Prashna. These are two different concepts, and our faculty, Dr. Suryanarayana Nanda, is going to lead us in a engaging 1 hour webinar and introduce these two fascinating aspects of Sanskrit literature and philosophy. So in this session, we've designed it to provide kind of a high-level overview of the topics, offering participants, all of you wonderful people, a glimpse into the richness of Sanskrit traditions. So thank you for joining. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you are zooming in from. Jayanti ji, glad to have you with us. Parvati ji, welcome, namaste. Thank you for being with us. Some people have enrolled in the class and are using their Devanagari script in the chat. Please feel free to engage with us. Dr. Yogendra Gupta from Maryland, thank you for being here. So the two ideas, the first one, the Yaksha Yudhisthira Samvedna, is a dialogue on Dharma and wisdom. And so Dr. Nanda will introduce this, the renowned philosophical dialogue between Yudhisthira and the Yaksha from the Mahabharata Vana Parva. So this segment will focus on the key themes of Dharma, morality, and existential truths, highlighting the philosophical significance of Yudhishthira's responses. You're going to get a chance to ask your questions. You can put them in the Q&A box, and hopefully you'll have a concise understanding of this classic text and its timeless insights into ethical living. In the second half, we're going to introduce Sanskrit prosody and poetic structures. So an overview of prosody, Chandas, which is the study of poetic meters and verse. I'm not too familiar with the topic, and I'm glad to be here with Dr. Nanda, who's going to introduce this in terms of the basics, going from the principles of light to heavy syllables, right? Lagu to guru, as well as the patterns that the syllables in sequences have. So the Itihasa is supremely complexly constructed, and Sanskrit, the language itself, has so many different aspects that make the literature jump out, and that's what we're going to get into today. So thank you for joining as we get started. Jitu ji from Irvine, glad to have you on. Dilip from Maryland, Kamlesh Kapoor from Virginia. Wonderful to have you all. So let me give Dr. Nanda a brief introduction, and I will hand it to him to get us started. So Dr. Nanda himself is a distinguished scholar with a lifelong commitment to the study of Vedic texts and classical Sanskrit literature. He holds a PhD in Sanskrit from Utkal University in Bhubaneswar, as well as an MA and MPhil from Delhi University. Additionally, he's earned his Sahit Acharya degree from S. Jagannatha Sanskrit Vishwavidyalaya in Puri. Dr. Nanda has had an illustrious academic career, including serving as an assistant professor of Sanskrit at St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. He spent a decade as an acharya, a traditional teacher of Vedic texts and philosophy at a renowned Gurukul in New Delhi. In addition to his teaching roles, Dr. Nanda has had a significant impact on media. You may have seen him. He's worked for over 10 years as a Sanskrit broadcaster with All India Radio and Doordarshan. So he's fluent and able to engage. He's a passionate advocate for the promotion of Sanskrit as a spoken language, something that we're doing regularly and applying in our daily lives. Dr. Nanda volunteered as a full-time pracharak for 13 years, contributing to the preservation and growth of Sanskrit in modern society. He's authored numerous publications, more than 30 articles in Sanskrit, Hindi, English. He served as the editor of Arsha Jyoti, a monthly Sanskrit magazine. We're glad to have him as a faculty member at Hindu University of America. And he's joining us from Houston, where he's been serving as an acharya at the Vedic Culture Center, the Arya Samaj of Greater Houston, where he inspires and educates others in the teachings of Vedic culture and Sanskrit. And that's why he's here today. We're glad to have him with us. Thank you, Dr. Nanda. Let me hand it to you to get us started.
Uh, uh, Namaste, namaste everyone. Thank you for this great introduction of me. Namaste everyone. I will little change the topic. The first I will cover the Sanskrit prosody, Chanda, then I will go to the Yaksha Yudhisthira Samvad. So it's a very interesting literature of Sanskrit language. The literary meaning of Chanda is charming, delightful. So Chanda is a study of poetic meters of verses. This is one of the 6 Vedangas, remember, the Vedic studies like Vyakarana, Chanda, Jyotisha, Kalpa, Nirukta, Shiksha. So one of the Vedanga is also Chanda. So originally, the Vedic Chandas, the original Chandas were 7. These are called Gayatri, Ushnik, Trishtu, Anushtu, Brihati, Jagati, Pankti. And then there are subdivisions. These are all Vedic Chandas. Those Chandas are used in Vedic mantras. And then from those 7 Chandas, Vedic Chandas, there are lots of Laukika, classical Chandas are made to use in classical Sanskrit literature. You know, Sanskrit language, it's a purely lyrical language. Most of literatures, maybe more than 60-70% literature of Sanskrit are in shloka form, in verse form, means anyone can sing it. It may be religious, spiritual, or secular, or art, craft related literature, literature related to mathematics or something, but still they are written in a poetic form. And you can sing it, recite it. And for that, the Chanda was very important in the process of learning Sanskrit or Sanskrit literature. The most famous and the first author of the whole Chanda literature is called Rishi Pingala, says Pingala. His book is Pingala's Chanda Sutra. That is it's including Vedic and Laukik Chanda both. Later, there are many scholars came who wrote books on Chandas related to Laukika Chandas, mean the Chandas related to classical Sanskrit language. The one of the famous popular book is Kedar Bhattas Vritta Ratnakara. Interestingly, it's not Chanda is not related only to Sanskrit literature or Hindu literature. Even all the Buddhist, most of Buddhist literatures and Jaina literatures have also the same thing. So that's how you will find Chanda literature uh, related to written by Buddhist scholars, Jaina scholars, and Hindu scholars. Although chandas are the same, their rules are same, but the language is different. In Buddhist literature, it is in Pali. In Jaina literature, it is in Prakrita. And in Hindu literature, Vedic literature, it is in Sanskrit. Again, I'm saying it is not only the religious literature, it is religious or non-religious literature. All the literatures are uh, written using those chandas. So what we are going to learn in this class, although this is the one part of the Chanda class, there will be two classes. Both classes are optional. So the first we are going to learn the Laukika Chanda. Chanda is related to Sanskrit literature, not the Vedic literature. The Vedic literature and other thing we'll learn maybe in the next session. If people show interest, we will arrange the second part of the class. So in this session, Chanda class, we learn the first thing what in Chanda we need to know, the structure or the nature of the syllables. So we will learn the light or heavy letters, how to know which is light letter, which is heavy letters, Guru and Laghu. Then counting of syllables. When you say syllable or akshara in a chanda, it's not only swara or vyanjana, it's a combination. And then also we will learn about Gana. That is the most important part of the Chanda. Gana means patterns of a light and heavy syllables in a sequence. One group of 3 letters is called Gana in Akshara Chanda. In Matrik Chanda, the 4 Guru and Laghu Matras are called one Gana. So we learn what is Gana. Gana means group of syllables. And there are 2 types of chandas basically. One type of chanda is called Matra Chanda, where Matra means the duration of reciting a duration of a letter, how much time it takes to recite or say a letter, that is called Matra. So the chanda based on the Matra is called Matra Chanda. We learn it. And each group has 4 matras. Then the other type of chanda, which is more popular and vast, that is called Varna Chanda or Akshara Chanda, means chanda based on counting of syllables. Depends on number of syllables. And here, characters means the letters are counted. So one group of 3 letters, a group of 3 letters is called one Gana. And how many Ganas are there to make a meter or chanda? Remember, nowadays it's about 600 chandas are there. New chandas can be made. It's just if you know the formula, if you know the chanda shastras, a scholar can make new chandas also. And if you have knowledge of chanda and you have knowledge of Sanskrit language, You can yourself make new shlokas. You can be a poet. So not only it helps you to recite the shlokas, to memorize it, to understand the intonation, pronunciation, and etc. It also helps you if you have that much of knowledge of Sanskrit language and grammar. You yourself can be a poet. You can yourself write different type of shlokas. So after that, we learn through this process. You will learn the lakshanas, characteristics of a particular meter, and the implementation of that meter in a particular verse. Gradually, you will understand what shloka or verse is written in what meter, how to differentiate one shloka to different shloka. Suppose I am giving you some examples. Mm, give me just 1 minute. Suppose I am singing a shloka, reciting a shloka. This is in Druta Vilambita Chanda. So I will present here 2-3 different shlokas and you understand the different styles. So this shloka is written in Druta Vilambita. Navapalasha Palashavanam Purasputa Paraga Paragata Pankajam Mrudulatantalatantmalokayat Sasurabhim Surabhim Sumano. This shloka is written in Dhruta Vilambita Chanda. So I'm taking another, and there are 12 syllables in this chanda and 4 ganas, 4 groups. In the same way, I'm reciting another shloka written in Bhujanga Prayata meter. Same 12 meters, 12 syllables, but the style is different. Manobodhyahankara chittani naham न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योम भूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानंद रूप शिवोहम शिवोहम. Both the shlokas are recited have the same number of syllables, 12 and 12, but still they are recited in different ways because of the different types of meters. Again, same 12 syllable, but another type that is called totaka. Vidita khila shastra sudha jaladhe mahitopanishad kathitartha nidhe hridaye kalaye vimalam charanam bhava shankara deshikame sharan karuna varuna laya palaya ma bhava sagara dukha vidu naridam रचयाखिल दर्शन तत्त्वविदं भव शंकर देशिक मे शरणम. One another chanda that is called Malini, and the 15 syllables are there in every verse. Vayamiha paritushta valkalisvam dukulaihi Sama iha paritosho nirvishesho visheshaha satu bhavati daridro yasya trishna vishala manasi cha paritushte korthavan ko daridraha. I'm just giving some glimpse to understand. There are every shloka has a different way to recite because of the meters. If you learn a meter, how it is going to help. Next shloka is in Mandakranta Chanda with 17 letters. Kaschit Kanta Viraha Guruna Swadhikara Shape Nastam Gamita Mahima वर्षभोगेण भर्तुः यक्षश्चक्रे जनकतनया Snana punyodakeshu snigdhachaya tarusu vasanam Ramagiryashrameshu. Next, Shardula Vikridita, I'm singing with 19 letters. Shakyo Varaitum Jalena Hritavok Chatrena Suryatapu Nagindro Nishitankushena Samado. Remember, also you will learn the pause. In Chanda Sutra, it is called Yati. Where to pause, where to stop. There is also a particular rule. Shakyo Varayitum. This is my pause. Jalena Hutabhok. Next pause. Chatrena Suryatapo. Nagindro Nishitankushena Samado. Dandena Gogardhavau. Vyadhirveshaj sangraheischa vividhair mantra prayogair visham sarvasya aushadhamasti shastra vihitam murkhasya nasti aushadham. I'm just concluding last one. So that is called Shraddhara, the name of the meter, and it has 21 letters. Brahmand Chatradanda Shatadhriti Bhavanam Poruho Naladanda Kshaninau Kupadanda Ksharadamarasarit Pattika Ketu Danda Jyotish Chakrakhya Danda Stribhuvana Vijaya Stambha Dando Ongridanda Shreyastrai Vikramaste Vitaratu Vibudha Dveshinam Kaladanda. So all these are different shlokas because of they are written in different meters. That's how they are all recited in different ways. And we all learn all those things. How to recite a particular shloka. If you understand the Chanda rules, then it will be easier for you. You can recite any shloka in your own way. Remember, the way I recite, that is not the absolute way to recite. Everyone has its own way to recite. But what we are going to learn, where to pause, how many letters should be there, what are the heavy and light letters. That's how our intonation, pronunciation should be depend on that. So all those things you are going to learn. Then also you will understand how to identify the meters, how to identify the verses, in what meter it is written, then also how to differentiate a particular shloka from different shloka. Like most of us know Gita. So in Gita, most of shlokas are written in Anushtup Chanda. Anushtup Chanda is about four quarters, means four layers, and every quarter there should be 8 letters. Dharma Kshetre, and in 8 letter there is a pause. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. 8 letter. Dharma Kshetre. Samaveta Yoyotsavaha. Mamakah Pandavaschaiva. Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So this is called Anushtup. This is the easiest chanda of the whole Sanskrit literature. So this is just a simple introduction about chanda. If you have any question, any doubt, please ask us. We have Parvati Sri Rama Mahodaya also. She also is here to answer your questions related to administrative or other things. Please, your questions are welcome.
Okay, let us, if you have your hand raised, we can take those as well. I see Shailaji, yes, Shaila Shroff. Go ahead, unmute and ask your questions. Let me get Parvati ji on board as a panelist if she wants.
I'm sorry, I don't have a question. By mistake I put it. I like
no
the
worries.
Chanda, best part of Chanda, having Chanda in Sanskrit literature, or what happens is the information can go easily from generation to generations because of Chanda. And if any letters goes Raswa Dirgha also, you can correct it as you go along because the Chandas are so well defined. You understand? And I thought that is the best way because I was working with the information which should go from point A to B, digital information without an error. And I wanted to see how our literature has come through generations and hardly without an error. You don't have to understand it perfectly, but you need to know if you know the chanda, you know how it should be sung and where it stops, where are raswa, where are dirgha. And it is a very good tool they developed to get it forwarded, or that's what the best part of it was. Sorry, but I just did it by mistake. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Shailaji. Artiji, you have your hand up.
Namaste. Yes, I had a question about the difference, if you can clarify, between shloka and mantra. And just to follow that up, I was under the impression that shloka is a particular meter rather than generic everything that we chant.
Yeah. So mantra is only Vedic sentences. The Vedic the sentences of a Vedic literature is called mantra. Only Vedic literatures are called mantra, and non-Vedic verses are called shloka. Remember, so there are the non-Vedic literature have three styles of statements. One is prose, that is called gadya. One is poetry form, that is shloka, padya. And the other one is champu, the mixed. So, in a nutshell, shloka is a Sanskrit verse. Mantra is Vedic verse. So that is the basic difference between mantra and shloka. Another thing is the songs. Songs and shloka are different. Even in Sanskrit, there are lots of Gita, Gana songs. Even many stotras. Many stotras or stutis are written in shloka form, following the meters, and some of them are also written in a song form, following the tala, laya, and etc. So Gita is different, shloka is different, but mantra is only related to the Vedic verses.
So to clarify myself, any non-Vedic verse would be considered shloka that has any meter is still under shloka.
Yes.
Okay.
And Vedic verses have their own chandas. Arthat mantras have their own chandas. Those who are interested will learn it in the second session of the session. So Vedic chandas are different, and Laukik chandas means shloka chandas are different. Yeah.
And I'm sorry if waiting, but just a quick succession to that. So the traditional shloka or the chandas that have a particular tune, just like you were singing, nowadays you hear a lot of people changing it in a different way.
Yeah.
So do you feel that that loses its importance and the spirit and the way it's supposed to be to generate or spread energies and so forth?
So the energy, generating energy and etc., it's a totally different thing. Tune has nothing to do with meters. Meters totally follow a grammatical rules or scientific rules. How you sing, your tune can be changed. Different people can sing in different way. but they should follow the basic grammar. Grammar means Chanda rules. Chanda rules will be the same, but everyone has its own way to sing or recite it. So tune has nothing to do with meters.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Jayanti ji and Eleanor are both asking about the details of the course in terms of homework, exams, work requirements,
Okay.
the preparation for these classes. If you want to get into some of that. And I'll share the poll I did about the webinar attendance, who's with us today. You can take a look. We have a few first-timers, lots of regulars, 16 people who've attended a webinar before. 15 of you have already taken one course at HUA, 6 program enrolled folks, and some of you considering taking courses. Thank you for joining. I'll ask a poll about these courses in particular shortly, but maybe we can get into that broader information about the course and the requirements. Please put your questions in the Q&A box. I'm going through the chat as well, but it's just easier if you have a question and we can put it in the Q&A box. Thank you.
So about the class curriculum, the whole class will be in an interactive way because that the demands of the Chanda class. It's purely you will learn the characteristic of a particular meter, then all of us will recite it and will correct it. We will understand how to where to pause, where not to pause, how to know what is Guru and Laghu. So for that, it's interactive. It will be a purely interactive session. So about the homework and thing, yeah, there will be only 2 homeworks and one presentation at the end. Homeworks will be very easier. Don't worry about that. Chanda, the Chanda Shastra, it's the easiest thing. The most, only don't miss the first class. The first class you will learn all the rules and regulations. After that, it's very easy, it's very fun, entertaining, enjoyable. You will forget the 1.5 hours when it will be passed. So, and homeworks will be very easier. Just the question will be whatever you have learned. I will give you some characteristics fixed in that shloka, or I'll give you some shlokas. Find what chanda it is written there, and all those you have already learned before that. And so 50% will be homework and presentation, and 50% will be the final exam. But don't worry about that, all those things. These are very simple and very easy things. What other question? Homework exam I've given.
Right. So Kalyani, you have your hand up. I've unmuted you. I think you've unmuted if you want to ask.
Another thing I will share about the resources. I will upload some books related to Chanda Shastras, but we are not going to learn all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meters, because many meters or chandas are not so popular and you are not going to use in daily life. So I will upload also my own notebook every week, and what we are going to learn next week, what chandas and everything, that I will upload in a Google document. For your permanent reference, there will be books, but still I will upload my own chanda notes. So based on that, we will learn. So that will be your source. Yeah. Bhagavad Gita also, no. Vedas are 4. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, Athar Veda. Rest of are all Smriti. There are 2 types of literature in Dharma, Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means Veda, Rig, Yajur, Sam, Atharva, and Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishada. So these are the Vedic literature. Rest of are Smriti or Laukika literature. So Gita is not part of Veda. It's a Laukik, it's a Gita is part of Mahabharata. So it is in Laukika Sanskrit. Yeah. And the next is, does all four Vedas have different chandas? No, in every Vedas, there are different chandas. There are more than 21 chandas in every Vedas. All the Vedas follow the same chandas, but every mantra has its own chanda. So,
can I ask my question now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
My question was regarding the swaras in the Vedic chanting, and the importance of chanting the swaras correctly, and how that pertains to the meaning of the particular Vedic mantra.
Yeah. So yeah, swara has a different literature that is called Shiksha literature. Shiksha. Chanda is a different literature. We are learning here Chanda. Also, we are not going to learn the Vedic Chandas in this session. You are going to learn only Laukika Chandas. If people will show interest, we can take another session for Vedic Chandas. But remember, Chandas are different and Swaras are different. Swaras are part of Shiksha literature. Shiksha. Shiksha means not education. So Shiksha is related to phonetics and other things. The Swara is part of that. Udata, Anudata, and Swarita, etc. We are not going to cover that Swara part. And it's purely Chanda related class.
Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. I've dropped details for both of the courses in the chat. Unraveling the Yaksha Prashna, that's a specific course that's going to be on Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern, starting April 14th. Both of these courses are $200. I'll drop a link for scholarships if that is depending on where you're at and other factors, you may be able to apply for a scholarship. And the second course is Exploring Laukika Chandas. And it was interesting. And all these webinars, I always learn so much, right? I didn't know the Vedic Chandas and the Laukika Chandas, and now you've differentiated it, and it could be a whole class, right? And so in this webinar, we're just giving the overview, maybe a little terminology. Please do continue to ask your questions. This Exploring Laukika Chandas class is going to be on Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. That's in the morning the next day if you're in India. That's starting April 17th. So Mondays and Thursdays, you're going to be offering these two courses. Both are $200. They're both in our area of study, under area of study, of course, Sanskrit studies. I think this qualifies for some of the programs. We can talk to Pragya ji and Sumedha ji and just see exactly if this qualifies for the certificate program in Hindu studies or the certificate program in Sanskrit proficiency, most likely, and we can get into that. So you answered Yogendra ji's question. Thank you. Yes, Vaibhav ji, thank you for asking. Ryan, okay, this is a broader question, Ryan. Thank you for asking. Doctor, could you please do your best to give a comprehensive description of what becoming adept or very knowledgeable about the Yaksha Prashna as a scripture within Sanatana Dharma is purported to help a soul attain in their lifetime? Thank you, Ryan, for that question. And Dr. Nandaji?
Yeah, so before I'm answering related to the Yaksha Prashna, some little introductions about that. So on Monday, so there will be the Yaksha Yudhisthira Samvada class. Samvada means dialogue. Some people call it Yaksha Prashna. Prashna means question. So it is a part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata, Vanaparva or Aranya Parva, 313 Adhyaya. So it's a very interesting and very profound dialogue between Yaksha and Yudhisthira. It presents a very thought-provoking exchange between Yudhisthira and Yaksha through a series of questions covering dharma, ethical dilemmas, existential truth, philosophy, etc. through that, that's how it's very important. Yaksha Yudhisthira Shambhada. So Yaksha Yudhisthira Shambhada course is designed for two, three objectives. First is to learn a literature, Sanskrit literature, who have a Sanskrit grammar background, who have already learned the Sanskrit grammars and everything. Now they have a chance to use their grammatical knowledge through the Sanskrit literature. And it's a very easy. Yaksha Yudhisthira Shambhada, the language is very easy, and it's good for those who are very beginners in grammar, those who have little understanding of Sandhi, Samasa, etc. And also Chanda class is going on. So for them, it will be a practical class. They will implement all their grammatical knowledge in this thing. That is the literary part. The other part is anyone can join for Yaksha Yudhisthira Shambhada to understand. Remember, Yaksha Yudhisthira Shambhada is not something related to spirituality. It's a combination of lots of questions related to day-to-day life dilemmas, what to do, what not to do, virtues, sometimes what is a certain virtue in a certain period, certain time and place becomes sin, and a certain sin in a certain place and time becomes virtue. So those the dharmic dilemmas we will understand through these question answer things. And then also there are lots of questions related to pure philosophy related to Sanatana Dharma. Many questions related to our family, social behavior, ethics, values, civility, all those things. So it's a combination of everything. Philosophy, dharma, day-to-day life dilemmas, niti, moralities. It's a combination of everything. So the structure of the class will be, we will recite the shlokas, and then we will do Anvaya. Anvaya means we will make it in a prose order. Then we will find some grammatical analysis. Then there will be translation and exposition. We will understand the deep meaning of the shloka. That's how we will go through. So there are 80, it's about 88 shlokas related to Prashna and Uttara, although the whole adhyaya is about with 133 shlokas. But the particular Yaksha Yudhisthira dialogue, the Prashna Uttara question and answer session, it is only 80 within the 88 shloka. So we'll deal with only that 88 shloka. We have only 10 classes. So we'll try to cover most of the important Prashna and Uttara through a literary structure, means understanding the grammar, chanda, Anvaya. Anvaya means making in a particular order. Then also we will understand the real meaning of that. So it is not like a pravachan style class. You understand recite the shloka, and I will give a lecture on that. What is the spiritual sense of that? It's not going to be like that. It's a purely academic class. You will understand, you will use your grammatical knowledge, and I will help you. Then you will understand. So that will be the Yaksha Yudhisthira Shambhada class. So now the question is...
Yeah, let me launch another poll. Just let us know if you're interested in one or the other. Again, this first one, Yaksha Prashna, is on Mondays, starting April 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern. There's a link in the chat. We'll also send a follow-up email with more links and some details. And then the second course, Exploring Lokika Chandas, on Thursday nights. Yeah, so the poll is up. Let us know. And... Right. No part. Brian has another interesting questions. Are there any prerequisites? But he's asking at a deeper level, as an individual in terms of their spiritual maturity or karmic ripeness. to study Yaksha Prashna in depth. And maybe just broadly, you know, how we realize Sanskrit is so important so that you can find a pathway into the Vedic knowledge systems, into Sanatana Dharma, whichever order that is right for you. So how do you guide Ryan?
See, the objective of this class is not giving the make to learn spirituality. There are Upanishads, there are Darshana Shastras, there is Gitas, there are other literature. Yaksha Yudhisthira, the structure of Yaksha Yudhisthira Sambada is not related, it's not a spiritual subject. I told you the questions are related to everything of life. So our day-to-day life, there are questions related to spirituality, there are questions related to dharma, there are questions related to dilemma, there are questions related to our civility, the responsibility, many things. So anyone can learn. Those who have a basic Sanskrit understanding, knowledge, they can join. But rest of your questions about karmic and spirituality, this is a different topic. Different topic.
So maybe from a different perspective, why did you choose to offer this course on this dialogue, on this particular?
Yeah. So like I told earlier, many students or many people who have a basic understanding of grammar, they are now exploring where to use those grammatical knowledge. So this is the easiest book. It's not a book. It's the easiest part of Mahabharata, which help them to use their grammatical knowledge, and also through this they will understand the basic philosophical, spiritual, dharmic concept of Sanatana Dharma through this Yaksha Yudhisthira Sambada. It will be a beginner stage for them to understand all those deep spiritual and things. But in Yaksha Yudhisthira Sambada, it's to learn deep spirituality. Yaksha Yudhisthira Sambada is not the best book for them.
Yeah. No, that was a great answer, and I think it gives some context. Maybe take a step back. Dr. Nandaji, you've taught a few courses at HUA. We have many programs at HUA, the Masters in Sanskrit, the Certificate Program in Sanskrit Proficiency. We're partnered with the MIT in Pune, right, the Maharashtra Institute of Technology. We're partnered with Sanskrit Bharati. There's all these different ways and places to learn Sanskrit. So you're saying that this particular text within the Mahabharata and the course you're offering is very good for people who have taken that initial step. They're comfortable with Devanagari, they've got grammar, they understand a little syntax, they're trying to find a text that isn't too heavy, that isn't too difficult to understand on all those points, on the grammar, on the vocabulary, and on the spiritual level, but a way to apply Sanskrit and pathway into heavier. I say I speak Garnu Gujarati, right? I speak in the house. I understand a little bit, but actually getting into heavy scriptures and the academic, you need steps, and this is a good step for folks.
This is a good step, beginner step to go ahead to learn more difficult textbooks in future.
Perfect. Okay, so let's see if we have any other questions. Eleanor's asking, could you describe a bit the kinds of texts written in Lokika style, please? Do we know any?
So, can you repeat again? What is the question?
What kinds of texts are written in the Lokika style? And maybe some...
Laukika Chanda.
Yeah.
Okay, although this is everything, the Sanskrit literature and language have two different structure. One is called Vedic Sanskrit. Vedic Sanskrit means that is the earlier form of the classical Sanskrit today we learn. the Vedic Sanskrit in which the Vedic literature are written or authored. And those sentences, verses are called mantra. They have their own grammar, they have their own chanda. The Vedic literature have everything different, although Sanskrit learning helps you a lot to go to the Veda. That's a different thing. Rest of, except Vedic literature. So I am defining. Vedic literature means Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, Tharveda, Brahmana Granthas, Aranyakas, and Upanishad. The four type of literatures. Except those four literatures, everything and anything are in classical Sanskrit, Laukik Sanskrit. In classical Sanskrit also, the writing form is style of writing is different. Some literatures are written in sutra form. Sutra means aphorism form. Some literatures are written in prose form, and most of literatures are written in shloka form. So when I am saying Laukika, it's a differentiating from Vedas. That's the only purpose to define Laukika. So 99% literatures in Sanskrit are Laukikas. Only Vedas and Vedic, the other Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishads are called Vedikas.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Venkataji,
yeah.
Sirish Palamji, thank you for joining, and go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Out of curiosity, whenever I used to chant the stotras for Parayana, always the first two lines give regards to the Rishi, and then they mention the name of Chandas. So I'm just curious, after learning, will they be under Laukika Chandas? Will we be able to identify those Chandas and then adopt after we go through this curriculum? I mean, will they be helpful?
If the stotra is a mantra, then definitely we are going out in later class, later session. If it is written in Sanskrit, so or
Yeah, for example, like Aditya Hrudayam, Khadgamala Stotra or Bhujanga Stotras, kind of those
these are
which
Laukika, these are not mantras. Yeah, so definitely you can use them. But remember, many stotras are not written in sloka form. They are written in a song form. So they don't, maybe many stotra don't follow the meter pattern. They follow the raga pattern and raga laya. So that we are not going to. But yeah, most of stotras in meter form.
Yeah, mostly I'm more interested in Adi Shankara's literature. So
Yeah,
those
most of Adi Shankaracharya stotras are in meter form. Chanda.
Okay, I'm glad to know that. Thank you.
Yeah, good question, and glad to get that example of Adi Shankaryaji's work. Okay, Venkataji, thank you. Jacob, you are up next. I see your comment or question in the Q&A box. You can unmute and I think we clarified a little bit. I know in terms of your question written versus how it was answered. Jacob, if you want to unmute yourself and ask any clarification, you're welcome to.
Okay, someone is asking what is the chanda Mahamrityunjaya and Shanti Patha? See, Mahamrityunjaya, someone is saying something?
Yeah, Jacob was about to unmute. Do you want to take that question first, or do you want to let Jacob ask his question?
Okay, let Jacob.
Well, it's actually multi-part based on things that you've been saying over the course of the webinar. The first one is about mantra only being Vedic, but the Maha Mantra is all throughout the Bhagavad Gita. And mantras are specifically chanted to evoke energetic change in the body and in the mind and in the soul. So if you're only looking at it from an academic perspective, then you have a contradiction because you have mantra in other texts and not just in the Vedic text.
Okay, this question is a different question. Astha is different thing. We have a certain asthas and shraddhas in different texts. Every sect and in Hinduism there are different type. Every every person has their own way of believing or shraddha. That's a different thing. But when we are going to learn a scripture or learn certain literature, so then it's a totally different thing. So any scholar, Pandit, Vidwan, Acharya knows what is the definition of mantra, what is the definition of shloka. So I belong to that traditional Pandit tradition. So what I know, I am saying. But yeah, people have their shraddha. They can call anything as Mahamantra or something. That's a different thing. I don't have an answer for that. Why Gita is not mantra and something is not mantra. Because as a uh, as a student of literature, uh, I have my limitation to answer because these are all related to Astha. But say.
Okay. Maybe we'll come back to that if we have some time. Kamleshi, you were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to know what is the Chanda used? Gayatri Chanda, I know. The name is Gayatri, that Chanda name. What is the Chanda used for Mahamrityunjay?
So, because Mahamrityunjay is a Triambaka, that is also the Vedic mantra. So, today we are talking about purely Laukik and Shanti mantra also. Many people, different people chant different mantras as Shanti mantra. If you are talking about Dev Shanti, Antariksham Shanti,
Yeah.
That is also Vedic mantra. So, we'll talk all those things about later when.
What is the name? What is the name of the Chanda? जैसे गायत्री का गायत्री मंत्र है वो छंद का नाम है.
Yeah, so the literary, actually the Gayatri Chanda, the traditionally it is called Savitri mantra because the Savita is a Devata, but this mantra is written in Gayatri, that's how it is called Gayatri Chanda. But the Mrityunjaya mantra, I don't know now what Chanda it is written. So, and when we will start the Vedic Chanda, we'll talk more about that Vedic things.
Yeah, but this has to be one of the 7 original.
Yes, all those 7 chandas I told you, these are all Vedic chandas. So based on those Vedic chandas, Laukik chandas are originated. In this class, we are going to learn only Laukika chandas.
Yeah, but I am not in the class. I am myself a writer.
So this is a webinar related to the class about Laukika chandas.
Yeah.
So you could not cover this answer.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Kamleshi. Who do we have next? Kalyani. Kalyani, did you want to ask another question? What else do we have in the chat box?
I just wanted to, for that question, I wanted to answer that the Mahamrityunjaya mantra is part of the Rudram. And that is Rudram is part of the Veda. So it is, it's part of the Vedic literature.
Yeah.
Right. I guess it's just a classification. I don't know why that classification is exactly made, other than either timing or, as you're saying, it's foundational to the next.
Because the language is different.
The language is also different.
Because Vedic language is not Sanskrit. It's a Vedic Sanskrit. So lots of difference are there. So if you learn Sanskrit grammar and you want to understand the Vedas, it is not going to help you. Sanskrit, then you have to, based on Sanskrit grammar, you have to learn Vedic grammar, Vedic Sanskrit grammar to understand the Vedas. But Vedic language, Vedic structure is different than the non-Vedic literatures. So even Chanda Shastra also, there are 2 parts. The Vedic Chandas, the names are different, the rules are different, their structure is different, and the Laukika Chandas, and their rules, regulations, and everything is different.
That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. You know, yeah, you're teaching and you've been experienced. So some of us who haven't, we have some of these finer point or basic. This is a general point that maybe went over my head initially. Anyway, I have the poll up. We have almost 20, 25 of you have filled out the poll. If you haven't yet, please minimize and let us know if you're interested in either of these courses. We are nearing the top of the hour. We got through everyone's questions. And that pitch that made the most sense is if you've taken some Sanskrit courses, you've got some familiarity, you're looking for a way to apply it and take the next step, this 2 courses in kind of different pathways are perfect because they help you apply it and learn how to take the next step. And Dr. Nandaji is an excellent teacher. He's going to give you time. You're going to have a weekly meeting. It's going to be on the HOA's learning management system. And it's a step into becoming proficient in Sanskrit. So we're glad to be offering these courses. Dr. Nandaji, thank you for taking the questions, being here, and being a part of Hindu University of America. Let me hand it to you for some closing thoughts, maybe a last pitch, and share your overall perspectives on where we are with the Sanskrit language, what Hindu University is doing, and why people should join us and join you in your next class.
Before I'm saying, we have Parvati Sriram Mohodaya. If she can share something, then yeah.
Sarvebhyo Namo Namaha. This course begins in April, and Ankurji has shared the details. Just give me a second.
Yeah, we can hear it.
This course begins in April, and the 2 courses are often on 2 different days. So there is no reason why anyone should consider only one course. Both of them can be considered simultaneously. And students who are currently in CPSP, the Certificate Program in Sanskrit Proficiency, if you are in the 4th year or are finishing the 4th year, then this would be the both of these would be ideal for you. For those who are not yet in the 4th year of the CPSP program, for example, if you still haven't learned your sandhis, if you don't know your vibhaktis yet, then the Yaksha Prashna may not be a good program for you, course for you. The Chandas, of course, will still be a good course for you if you can read and write Devanagari. And if you're interested in reciting shlokas, you don't really need to have knowledge in Sanskritam to enroll for the Chandas course. And the Laukika Chandas is the first one that is being offered. So this course is offered in 2 parts, depending on the interest of the students. Once they finish the Laukika Chandas, the next part, which is going to be an exploration into the Vedic Chandas, will be offered by Dr. Suryanarayana Nanda in the next quarter. So that would be our summer quarter. And enrollment can happen starting now. So the website is updated. You may visit the HUA website to get all the information. You will see what are the learning objectives. You will see the structure of the course, and you will also be able to go in and register yourself for the course. And you will only be able to register for the one course of the Laukika Chandas now. You will not be able to register for both parts because the other part is not set up yet. And as I mentioned, depending on the interest, the second part will be offered in the summer quarter. Any questions about the registration or any such details, you may ask now.
Great. Thank you, Parvati ji. And Parvati ji is our Sanskrit coordinator. So you may have taken a course with her already. She's amazing and helping to give some context to this course in the offerings at HUA. Thank you, Parvati ji, for that. Any last questions? Now is your time to ask. And as you were mentioning, I took a look back at how many people are enrolled in a program in this webinar. It's about 20-25% of the audience is enrolled in some program at HUA. So that's a good group of folks to take this. Thank you for that. Okay. Parvatiji, anything else from you?
Nothing from my end. Thank you all.
No other questions. Let's, Dr. Nandaji, do you want to?
No, I think thank you everyone for being here, and please consider to join both the classes. Thank you again, and thank you, Ankurji.
Great. Thank you. Namaste. Dhanyawad, everyone. Have a good rest of your Friday. We'll do a couple more webinars over the weekend, so maybe we'll see you again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.